And we're live.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Inside Movies Galore. I am one of your hosts and the host for tonight, and we are celebrating our 5 years of being together online by going back and talking about some of our very first episodes. And I'll be honest, they were not the greatest to start out with. But we're returning as a group to the film Salò, or the 120 Days of Sodom, which is commonly referred to simply as Salò. It is a 1975 horror art film directed by Paolo Pasolini. It's a loose adaptation of the 1785 novel, first published in 1904, called the 120 Days of Sodom, by the Marquis de Sade. So let us see what IMDb says about the film here really quick.
I tell you what they should say. Run the fuck away.
Seriously.
In World War II Italy, 4 fascist libertines round up 9 adolescent boys and girls and subject them to 120 days of physical, mental, and sexual torture. So, let's go into first impressions of the film. I think I'm going to go with Her Excellency, Miss Muslim. Was this a first time watch for you?
Unfortunately.
And what were your thoughts and first impressions of the film?
Totally disgusting. I can't understand how, number one, somebody could make this film. Number two, I can't understand how people could actually act in this film. And if I really understood what this film was, I never would have watched it.
Okay.
That's really all I have to say about it.
Okay. Going over to Brandon. Was this a first time watch for you?
Yes. And I gotta wonder, Dave, when you originally did this channel, the first full-length movie, you did a couple short films first, but then the first full-length movie was a double feature of 1,000 Corpses and Devil's Rejects. Then you followed it up with this, and then you followed that up with a Serbian film. Was your goal to see how deep you could get to the disturbing level, and then why start at this level? The channel couldn't get much lower after that. You'd be maybe 2 to 3 films before you'd be doing live action snuff films and rating those, because it's just
our group wanted to be a little bit more hardcore and controversial at the beginning and talk about tough,
a little bit more
extreme films that were controversial at the time. And Dane was front runner for some of those. So I'll be honest, a Serbian film I was more in league with because Tammy had actually told me about the film, believe it or not. But yeah.
I'd have gone to Cannibal Holocaust at least before going that's more of a step down from 1,000 Corpses than this is.
See, that's tame compared to Salò.
But that's the thing. House of 1,000 Corpses to Salò is jumping down to hell. I mean, at least, jump halfway first before you break your legs on the way down.
Well, I mean, House of 1,000 Corpses is a Disney fucking anime movie compared to Salò.
And speaking of hell, I'm glad you brought that up, because this is actually inspired by Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy.
Oh well, yeah, they put the Dante's Inferno chapters in there, the blood, the shit, and death, and I think it was, and but yes, first impression. I had been warned about it, but I thought, how bad can a film put together, like an art film put together in 1975 be? And I've seen much worse than this, probably. And I'm wrong. I am totally wrong. I was overly disturbed. There were parts of this where I was just like, let it end. Let it end. I was thankful I had my phone to distract me a little bit. But I made it. Probably not again. I might not be on here for us coming back to it again.
I won't be on here again.
Well, since we've already done it, well, this will be our second time. I don't think I'll put or subject us through it again in the future. I'm hoping that
My Blu-ray player will magically not work if you ever try to play it.
Should burn the fucking copy.
There will be another shot because in August we will have 2 slots where we can vote in previous ones.
This will not be voted in.
On a cold motherfucking day in hell.
Exactly. I agree.
Actually, since Kim is here with me, can we go ahead and do Kim's first impression?
Sure. Kim, what were your first impressions of?
I thought it was a horror movie. That's what because we were like, oh, let's go watch Salò. I'm like, oh, it's a horror movie. Okay, because usually we reserve our Saturday nights for horror movies. Well, we didn't watch it Saturday, so we watched it Sunday. I'm like, okay, ooh, scary movie. So I'm all like in my comfy PJs and ready to settle down. Let's watch a scary fucking movie. No. The horror aspect is that this was ever fucking made. I was like, okay, what is this shit? Like, when they girls like stripped down, had the boys show their dicks, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on here? And then that old woman talking about, look at this perky little ass. I'm like, what perky little ass? First and foremost. But then when they were like, we're gonna marry each other's daughters. I'm like, wait, what? And then it just got worse and worse and worse. And when they had the shit scene, really broke me. Then when they raped the one girl at her so-called wedding, and then just all of it, the pissing scene, I said, oh, there's some R. Kelly shit right here. Just everything from start to fucking finish. And then the only part where I kind of was like bewildered at was the what was it, babe? Remember the snitching chain?
Oh yeah, that one was actually
where like one person gets caught. Like, look, let me tell you about so and so. And they go into it. Let me tell you about so and so. I'm like, damn, they just snitching on each other. But when you get to the orgy of violence in the end, I had a very visceral reaction to this film. I felt sick to my stomach. I have a top 3 films that I said I will never ever watch. I've never seen and I never will. Serbian film, Human Centipede, and Cannibal Holocaust. If I had known what this movie was, this bitch would have been on that fucking list. And like I said before we went on air, I would rather drag my bare coochie lips across hot fucking gravel than ever watch this shit again. And anyone who likes this shit, y'all gotta screw fucking loose. There's something enjoyable or redeemable about this movie. It just, and like, I don't know who said it earlier, but who could act in this? Like, I thought Monica Bellucci doing the rape scene, the Irreversible, was hard to do. But I can't imagine, like, being a young woman or young man and simulating some of the stuff that was going on in this film. Like, I can't. I know it's acting, but that shit looked a little too real.
That'd be traumatizing just to act in the film, I would think.
Yeah. Like,
traumatizing just watching it.
When they're burning the girl's titties off and shit, I'm like, how can you even act and do this? I'm like, how do y'all, after they say cut, you're like, okay, hey guys, let's go to lunch. What? You were just sitting burning my titties off. And let's go get lunch? Let's problems out? I'm like, I don't think so. So yeah, I'm thoroughly sickened, and just having to relive it again, I have a headache. Oh,
Before we go any further, I do want to say that it was Pasolini's final film because it was released 3 weeks after his murder.
yeah.
Because he was in fact murdered, and then I believe it was a long while before this film even came to the public view. And I've seen several of
They
his
should have
other
killed it
films.
along with him.
I agree.
Well, we were talking about this at dinner. Like, apparently, the story behind his murder is that someone stole some of the negatives of the film itself, and then tried to blackmail him and say, "Yo, you want to see your film again? You gotta pay me X amount of dollars, meet me at this location." He went to the location, got carjacked, and then they killed him with his own car.
And the stuff apparently that they stole has not been recovered, which would be extended scenes of that ending.
Of the orgy of violence.
So apparently we can thank them for kind of editing and censoring that last part.
Because it was worse, apparently.
All right, heading over to is that your final thoughts, first thoughts on the film?
Yes, I want to die now, but yes.
Heading over to you, Mr. Disgusted.
My name
First time watching?
yes, first time and definitely the last. No way in hell. There's nothing that would get me to watch this again. Nothing. Kill me. I'm not watching this again. Disgusted is one of the adjectives I would say how I felt after watching this movie. This movie is the most disgusting, horrific, just gross, just absolutely horrible movie. This movie should be banned in every single country. The internet and every physical copy should be burned. And I don't think anything should be banned except there is an exception. This is the exception. This is just absolute pure, horrible garbage. And like what was said with the shit scene, I could not watch it all. I had to. I read the words and I covered my eyes. I just could not. I was literally sick.
Did you gag?
I cannot do it. I can't even watch the shit scene in fucking American Wedding. That movie's hilarious. This is just, there's no word for what this is.
Did you gag too?
Oh, I gagged.
Yeah, I was like,
crazy. And that's when I put my hands
I
on
thought you would throw up.
I put my hands on my eyes and I'm like, I mean, I would have fast forwarded if I could, but the website can be kind of pesky with fast forwarding, so I just fucking put my hand on my eyes and watched the bottom part where the words were and peeked a little bit to see if they were done, but I couldn't do it. When that shit part got done, I was thrilled that was done. Not that other stuff was much better, but I just could not deal with the shit. That was just the worst. That was the absolute worst. As much as everything else that had been done to them and how horrible that was,
I told David I thought I was going to get sick.
I mean, they burned a guy's penis before they burned the girl's nipples as well.
Yeah.
So, and still the shit was worse. And it was just, yeah, that's my first and last impression and only impression. Yeah.
Okay.
I went and watched the Disney movie afterwards because I felt dirty.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we had to do a chaser for it too. We were watching somebody feed Phil because it's wholesome, and wholesome was needed.
Oh yeah, that's why I went with a Disney film, you know.
Honestly, I'd heard of the film before Dane brought it up. I'd heard how extreme it is, and I'm not sure when I picked it up on Criterion, but I believe I picked it up at Half Price Books at one point in time, or on Barnes and Noble for one of their 50% off deals, and then it kind of just sat on my shelf.
I'm surprised
I
this
was
place
almost
is moving.
afraid to watch it, but then Dane gave me an opportunity to watch it, and that's just what happened, you know. So that
These
being
places are
said,
very respectable. If they knew what they were selling, I bet you they wouldn't have sold that thing.
well, to each
I
their own.
Barnes and Noble now.
I understand why Criterion listed this, because the director of the film, Pier Paolo Pasolini, he is very well known. He is a very well acclaimed director in Italy, known for some controversial but not quite this controversial films. So I can understand this as his final film would bear that importance. And there is something to be said about one of the most disturbing films ever being immortalized.
And yes, I do think that this film is disturbing. I do think it is one of the most depressing films that I will ever see, or even show to even one person once. And you do have to see this film at least once to understand that
No,
there are levels.
nobody should
There
ever watch
are
this film again.
levels. And the thing is, if you think you've seen something bad, there is always something worse.
I agree with that. Nobody should
And
ever
it's
watch this movie.
just there are so much crap in this movie, and I'm not
Literally.
talking literally. I mean, there are so many ideas in this film. That is why it's on Criterion, I believe. The way that Wikipedia says, it's got themes of political corruption, consumerism, authoritarianism, nihilism, morality, capitalism, totalitarianism, sadism, sexuality, and fascism. So that's a lot to have in like one kit and caboodle. And that being said, for it being an artsy film, I do think that the film is well shot for its time, because I've seen 70s films that are much more grainier. So whoever cleaned it up evidently cleaned it up enough so that you can see all the bits and pieces.
Well, this comes across as a well cleaned up Argento film in a lot of ways. I'd say visually, it would probably be on par with stuff Argento did.
That being said, I guess let's go into the plot a little bit. IMDb kind of said it. Basically, some kids from both sexes were kidnapped, whether it be street urchins or people that they knew that were either in some political.
One girl was in a boarding school, and the nuns fucking basically gave them the girl.
Yeah, and
Fucking.
one girl had her mother drowned. It was depressing. I mean, it seems like they didn't care who they picked up. Some of them, they just were evidently had wanted them for months. You know, they talked about it, and it's just, I mean, even talking about it, it kind of depresses me a little bit. But that being said, moving further into the plot, I guess they have a moment where they gathered all their kidnapped victims into a one lodge of some sort, and they just inspect them. I mean, that's what Germans did too. I mean, during wartime, in their Nazi concentration camps, it seems like it was one thing that seemed. It's like they were wares; they were property. So they were inspecting their flesh. They were looking at them, and you could just see that all of these men were like dirty in their fucking minds. But and one guy just had like a halfway grin the entire time, and
Oh God, yeah.
That's the one that I thought looked like Stan. Because he had that weird.
Yeah, I thought he looked like what you said. Was it Penn or Teller?
No, well, yeah. Also, that was the other one, Teller as well. They both kind of resemble the dude just by the way that they look and smile.
But
Stan doesn't have cross-eyed.
it seems like one of them they call His Excellency, which I'm assuming that he's evidently the leader of this somewhat sadistic cult.
Oh my God, it does look like Teller.
Because I feel like these are well, they're called Libertines. Now, Brandon, what do you think a libertine is? Maybe you can define it a little bit better.
Well, I saw the Johnny Depp movie.
Oh, does that give you knowledge on the subject?
Well, I mean, to me, it's a libertine is an individual that lives for hedonism, essentially. They live basically for pleasure and pleasure only, which I guess that's what these people really were, because they were basically hedonists.
Frank Cotton would have loved them.
You know, I've known some hedonists, and nobody's as depraved as nothing like that. You know, some hedonism isn't bad, but yeah, this was just beyond regular hedonism.
What's that noise?
Must have like a fan or something going.
But in any case, after they look over their picked up people, I guess they take them in some military vehicles to a totally different place, and while they are on their way there, one of the boys tries to escape. They gun him down, and they arrive at this place, and they bring out this rule. They end up, they bring out this rule book, and they basically tell them, hey, you're like in a place that nobody knows where you are, and you can't fucking leave, and you if you do anything religious, we're going to kill you. If you act out of line, we're going to kill you. If you do anything thing against this book of rules, we're going to kill you. So yeah, that's basically the rules. Now everybody's going to go gather in this orgy room.
Don't forget, though,
tell bedtime stories.
You forgot something, Dave. The one person that was smart as fuck, he ran away and got killed. And you know what? He's better off.
Yeah, he might. He might very well be.
No, he was better off.
But in any case, and that's pretty much what they do. They go to this orgy room, and I guess this is the part where I guess I'm a little intrigued at. Like every time the ladies speak their stories. First, it's like they're older ladies, and they have no problem like telling all like what like this first chick. She was like what, 6 when she was first touched by a man, and her mother was the one who like told her, hey, do anything you can to get money, you know, and the way that she was describing everything, and then of course one of the men said, hey, you're not telling everything, like you didn't tell like how the man was holding his penis and how he ejaculated on you, or masturbated inside you, the details, and so I guess this was a moment for the group, not just the men, but also the kidnapped victims, to listen to these stories and get aroused by.
Oh, these stories.
And the stories just gravitate and get worse. I mean, the behavior of the libertines get worse as we go along. It's not just, male on female, female on female. It starts to get a little bit roomy, and yeah. I think there's a moment where one of the libertines takes a boy in another room, and he comes back insulted because he wouldn't let him in. And it's just, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, it's messed up, no matter how you look at it. Did anyone want to say anything about at least this first lady and her stories that she is telling?
I mean, I think she's a sick ass bitch, because it's like, she's sitting there telling the story like she's recounting a fond memory or some shit like that. Like, that was the weird part. Like, there's a part of me that was like, she started so young, with what was going on with her. So in a way, she's a victim. But I'm like, nah, fuck that, because this woman is old as hell, and she's sitting here actively enjoying all this shit.
She wore that dress, though. You did like the dress.
Oh, the dress was cute. I did say the dress was cute. I said, okay, go girl with the dress, But then, like, when she starts talking about, like, oh, this, that, especially when she gets to the story about liking shit, I'm like,
well, that was a totally different.
Oh, all the hoes look the same, except for the piano.
I will say that when they set it up originally, I didn't mind the very first part where they were showing like just the fascist state itself. I mean, I wasn't quite liking it when they were starting to basically undress and examine them. But a lot of the stuff, like, you could see one of the lineups where they were planning to execute everybody. Mm-hmm. And it was a good window into what being under Mussolini was like. And in a way, it would not surprise me if these kind of sick sex cults didn't exist in Nazi Germany and fascist Italy.
Yeah, I guess that first lady, her name was Signora Vaccari, and she was played by Helen Sergere. I don't know how to entirely say it, but the second one, I believe, was Signora Maggie, and she was played by Elsie D. Giorgi. I don't know if that makes a difference. And I guess there was a third, Signora Castelli, which I think she's the one who ended up, like, later on, like, jumping out the window and falling to her death.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
was abrupt too when that happened. I wasn't expecting that one.
I wasn't expecting when she sat in the window. I'm like, somebody should push her out of it. The next thing I know, she jumped. Like, okay, that works.
And then the sound when she hit.
Well, I believe she was the one who was playing the piano.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole like narrative, and I'm guessing she's like on the fringe of this whole like party of people. So I think after seeing everything that went on, I think she decided to like take her own life. But and I honestly, I probably would too. If I were in and around these people, I would not want to live around these people.
Neither would I, because I really think that's what I mean. I think that's why she took her life, because it was too much. Like, after everything she had seen, that, and then of course being made to do things that she was made to do, to then witness what I call the orgy of violence at the end. Like, after all of this that y'all have done to these children, and I'm sorry, they are children. These are teenagers. Let's also remember that. After everything they've done, you're just gonna torture them physically, like just kill them off like that. Like, yeah. And she was like, you know what, I'm done. I can't anymore. Like, and probably also guilt, because she kind of played a part in the sense that she didn't do anything to stop it. She didn't bother trying to help those kids. So yeah.
Well,
with us, bitch.
I know that each of the stories that each lady told, they seem to like get worse and worse as time went on, and I guess there were other things that were going on in between, like that whole wedding. That whole wedding between the evidently these were the daughters of like the four men, and they were marrying each of them to each other, and that was part of like a background ceremony that was going on. And there was also another wedding that went on that was between like their favorite of the females and their favorite of the males, and that was just weird, all in all, because they were expected to, copulate together, and I guess they joined. Some of them joined in, and of course, then there were the several feasts that went on. The first one wasn't, I guess, too bad, but but of course there was the rape of the girl that was at the first feast, which the one guy was like, "Hey, do me," but that was just sick. I don't. It's one film that is open about its sexuality, I guess. To a point where it's offensive, it's offensive because we're not used to seeing it like so out, like hanging in the public, just for us to see, and they're all acting like it's a natural thing for these occurrences to happen, and that's the thing about this film. All of it looks so real. It really did. It seemed like it was a film of its time, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But we also get a moment where I guess they treat their kidnapped victims as like dogs, like animals.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like they were dehumanizing them.
Well, they did that at the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they dehumanized them in the beginning.
The part where they make that girl eat the cake with the nails in it, just to, I mean, that just right there. Ugh.
Yeah, that, yeah, not. I kind of skated over one this time around, but I remember seeing it the first time around, and it looks real. I mean, even the part where where he makes the girl eat the feces.
Did you notice that the ones that they treated the worst were their daughters?
I kind of figured that was one of the things that went on. I mean, the whole marriage ceremony was kind of a farce. It's like they were mocking the marriage, the ceremony of marriage, because
they totally were.
The ceremony of marriage to many people is a sanctimonious thing. It is a circle of
Yeah.
beauty and and love between the man, the man and the woman, or the man and man, or the woman that love each other, and it means something to people when they get married.
Well, I think that was another element of control, though, because you notice that, you know, the two kids, like, they went along with it, and then when they said, okay, go consummate your marriage, they kind of had that moment of comfort, like, okay, she's not going to hurt me, and she's probably thinking, like, he's not going to hurt me, and you saw how gentle they were being with each other, and then at the very last second, here comes the assholes. Oh, no, you don't. Those flowers are for us.
Yeah.
And then they swoop in and rape her and swoop in and rape him. And I'm like, God damn. Like, they did that shit was deliberate. Like, they made them, you know, it was a mind fuck. It was a game to them. You know, and then, again, another element of control, like, we're gonna make you two, the two pretty ones, we're gonna make y'all get married. And married in quotation marks, because that shit ain't valid, as you know. And then right when they're being made to consummate their marriage in front of a fucking audience, they snatch that little bit of comfort from each other, from the kids. And it kind of reminded me of the scene in Caligula where he gate crashes this couple's wedding and then makes the couple, after they've been, you know, deemed man and wife, he makes them go into this room so he could talk to them. And he discovers that not only is she a virgin, but he's a virgin too. So he decides to, what's it called?
Flower them?
Yeah, there's like a Latin term for it or an Italian term for it. Prima nocta, there we go. So he decides to have like first rights as the emperor or whatever, to deflower her first. And then after he's done with her and he makes him watch, he then sodomizes the husband with his fucking ring and his fist. And this kind of reminded me of that, like, this is their fucking wedding day, and you just took all that from them. And in the case of this couple in Salò, they're not really a couple, but again, it was a moment of comfort, and these assholes are like, no, we're just fucking with y'all. You know? And then, like, the whole thing of the other guy watching the one dude assault the girl, and then he comes in and is like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck him in the ass. Like, what the fuck is this? I looked at Brad and said, what the fuck is this shit? If they just want to fuck each other.
Even at the wedding ceremony, the one dude with the beard, he came and like groped and like kissed and like grabbed ass and along with everyone that was at the ceremony. And then after the ceremony, they were like, get the fuck out of here. But yeah, this film is several levels. Now, I do think that there is a difference between the two ladies that narrate their stories. The reason being is because I've seen this film twice. In the second narrative, with the second lady, I believe her name was Senora Maggie or whatever. She actually killed her mother, and the bearded dude also said something to the effect that he killed his mother, and he was proud of it. It was like his most defining moment in life, and he went on to say something about it, and then I think he offended the girl that evidently had her mother drowned. And that's when he went into that whole, well, you might as well eat shit, you know. And then of course, they have a feast of shit, which I don't even know how to begin to describe. There's a catering thing that normally sausages would be in, but those weren't sausages. Ugh.
Yeah.
Every time I see that entire scenario, it disgusts me. and I guess that's how we get into the narrative of the defecation scenarios. I think the one that I remember the most is the one about the dude who, like, I guess there was a coffin in the middle of the room, and he said he was like on his deathbed, and the thing that he wanted to happen the most was to see a beautiful ass. And she said, well, I bared my ass, and I proceeded to defecate all over him, and I was like, okay. And then, of course, the last segment is the blood. Of course, we have I believe, Kim, you said it right earlier, the snitch chain, where we had okay, one of the liberals, I guess one of the things that he liked to do was go and like peek in on the children while they were sleeping, and this was just after he'd been fucked in the ass.
Very roughly fucked at that. Like,
and you know what? I think out of all the things that I saw in there, that was the one that I was like, that's got to be real. What was happening there?
I don't know if it was real, but it definitely made me clench.
But in any case, he goes down, checks the kids. There was also a moment, I think, where I guess they were checking all the bed pans, and because evidently you were right, it is about control, because they didn't want them to shit without them knowing, or do anything without their knowing. So when they found that some of the kids had actually shit in their bedpans, they were punished.
There was one girl.
One girl had a photo underneath her bed, and I guess that was the first snitch from the boy. That the dude said, "What are you going to do to me tomorrow?" Well, just in case. Oh, by the way, I know that there is a student here, or somebody that is not following the rules. She's got a photo underneath her bed. They go into the room where the girls are. They're making out with each other. Oh, by the way, we know that your army dues is fucking the black maid. And then it's like everybody, all four of the liberals get up, and I guess they shoot him and shoot the shit out of him, and then that bearded dude goes over to her and just shoots her point blank.
Yeah, I wanted to know more about him, because from the get-go, you got a brief feeling that he wasn't really into this shit. And then that was at the beginning, and then you never saw him again. And until that end when they caught him and her in bed together because they were in love with each other. I'm like, I would have loved to know more about his story, and because I was like, just by virtue of process of elimination and just by numbers, some of the people who were perpetrating the heinous acts, at least one of them had to have had reservations about what they were doing. But you only saw that one guy who had any sort of I'm not really into this, but they don't really go into detail. And all you see is the rest of them I'm fucking into this shit. Yeah.
Or they were just, or even if they weren't fully into it, they were just like, yeah, it's a good job.
It's a job.
Care.
Yeah.
It's.
I'd rather be the one doing the fucking than getting fucked, basically.
But that snitching scene was
hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, if there was ever fun to be had in the film, that was probably the most that you could get.
I'm like, damn, y'all really snitching on each other left and right. Like, shit, it's like a cult.
It's
well,
like
by that time they'd all been like, you know, then controlled like a motherfucker. So they don't want anything to happen to them that hasn't already happened, you know.
But I mean, since they're under such like control and they're constantly watching, like, how the fuck do they all know this much about each other like that? Particularly when it came to the boys, and the, you know, because I mean, okay, the boys are separated from the girls; they're in their own room, and the girls in one, boys in other. So how did he even know about the other girl having the shit in her pillow? And how did the one girl, how did the lesbian couple, how did they know about the guard sleeping with the maid?
Yeah.
Like, I have so many questions.
You know what it reminded me of? Dave, you watched that, and Zetsubo Sensei, where they had the stalker, and she's stalking him, and then the boyfriend's stalking her, and then there was the one person stalking a stalker stalking the stalkers.
And then you saw a whole line of stalkers.
Just that line of that.
Everyone peeping out from behind they were stalking from. That was a funny moment. But there's also like ideas in the blood section that come out in this film this time around for me. That of the part of the executioner and and they go into that a little bit because they're like going back and forth, but like talking with each other, and it kind of reminded me of this moment in Bulletproof Monk where there was a photo of a picture of a person that was like kneeling on his knees with a gun to his head, and the question by I guess the lady at the time was, would you rather be the one holding the gun, or would you rather be the victim behind with the gun pointed at him, you know? And that came to mind when I was listening to this whole like scenario where they were talking about executions and stuff like that. I don't know, but
the poster that I just finally remembered to put up in the background, I guess the film distracted me enough that I didn't even bother setting it up. That's that is a take right there. This is the movie poster, or one of them, where it shows actual parts of the last scene where they're killing everybody, which it's just interesting that this was used as one of the official posters for the film.
And those people that they took outside, and it was kind of a spectacle because I don't know why they did this, but they dressed up to the nines like high society dames, and they each took a seat, like they were looking at horse races out the window with these like little fucking binoculars, like they were watching like I said, a spectacle. And what happened out in the yard, that was just brutal. I mean, you had from one moment, one guy was getting his dick lit on fire. Another moment, chick was getting her tits lit on fire. An eyeball was being poked out. Someone was being scalped. I mean, these were tortures that I think they were doing as much as they could to show in a bird's eye how much violence you could in a kaleidoscope, you know. What do y'all think about this last scene?
It was horrific.
Yeah. Like I mean, I said it then. I was like, this is literally called an orgy of violence, and I got the impression that this was like literally an all-day event, because like, you know, you had each one of the four men they'd be participating. 3 of them would be participating, and one would be in the top floor, looking with binoculars, and they take turns, like being a spectator versus being participant or whatever. And like, I was like, it's not bad enough that they assaulted these kids for 4 months. It's not enough that they had to go through degradation and humiliation and everything. But now we're going to sexually assault you one last time as brutally as possible, and then we're going to torture you to death. Like, what the fuck was the point of all that? They just spent 4 months with these kids and did all the shit to them only for it to end like this. Like, what was the point?
I was thinking about the timing of it all, and I was wondering if a lot of this was a kind of last hurrah before the fall, because by late 44, the Italian front was definitely turning.
Oh yeah, big time.
And I have a feeling that they were all realizing our time is running out. So our time to do whatever we want, whenever we want is almost done. So this could have been their last hurrah to be able to do whatever they wanted.
Well, historically, I mean, you're right. Actually, that is the case. Historically, that part of Italy, they were basing this whole area off of. They were basically a puppet state for the German government. And they were people who were pro-Mussolini. They were pro-Hitler. And folks that basically fucking enjoyed the benefits that being on that side afforded them. Look at it like we were talking about The Man in the High Castle and how, the alternate history of what if Germany had won World War II, and how you had American Nazis on that show and in that book who were fully enjoying being fascists. So I don't doubt for 1 second that there were people who were committing just atrocities like this. Maybe not to this level, but committing atrocities nonetheless and enjoying it. Look at what's happening in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like the woman who the Russian soldiers came and killed her husband, and it went in there and gang raped her in front of her fucking kid. So like, and they were enjoying it. Like this is the kind of shit this is not anything new. This sort of behavior, human nature. Some people are just fucking evil. Now to carry the evil to this level, it's a whole other ball of wax. But there are people that I really do believe are sick enough to do shit like that. I mean, hell, you got people who are sick enough to think of it.
I mean, some of the most terrible atrocities to happen at the camps happened towards the end of the war when Germany was falling, because they wanted to kill as many as they could before. Well,
it was also a level of them trying to hide their crimes too. You would hear stories of them just trying to slaughtering everyone and destroy a lot of shredding and burning records too, because they were trying to hide what they had done.
I mean, I think these guys probably were going to go into hiding after this, because more than likely they probably would have been facing Nuremberg trials after.
Yes, Nuremberg-esque type trials.
After the war.
I honestly, I got the feeling these guys didn't even think that. I think they really believed that they were untouchable. And I feel like for them, this had gotten old for them.
I almost feel like this is Pasolini's look on what he thought a concentration camp was like. Men who thought that they were above the law and beyond judgment from the public eye. They
knew they were.
Well, yeah, they had money, they had power, and I almost feel like this is something like Illuminati or something like that, but at the end of everything, I think we're at the moment where, I mean, is there anything during or about the film that anyone wanted to talk about before we got into production?
Well, you forgot the ending. After that, then the atomic bomb went off, as As Kroll had told us about, he saw that cut, and everybody died.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and like how I feel about the ending and stuff. Is that what you're saying? How we feel about the ending?
Or just any other
Yeah.
questions about the plot
Oh,
in general?
no. I mean, just that the ending made me feel like I literally walked away and I just wanted to fucking kill myself. Like it depressed me. I mean, I was already disgusted and disturbed, but then to just get to that ending after we've seen these kids go through so much and this is how they go out, like.
There was no coming back from that, though. Like I was saying, that's why I was saying, just drop a bomb. It's a mercy for the victims, and it's fucking furious vengeance to the fucking scumbags. You know, like I mean, those victims. There's no coming back from that. There's no way they could have had a normal life. There's no way. They're too traumatized.
There was no way.
Killing them is a mercy. I mean,
There was no way anyone was going to survive.
But see, what bothered me though was that like you got to the end, and you had those two guys that were talking about going home and shit, like oh my girlfriend and da da da. I'm just like, what the motherfucker? You just participated in 4 months of sexual torture, and then you just watched a bunch of kids get this fucking murked. And y'all sit there dancing the fucking waltz and talking about, oh, what you gonna do when you go home? Like you're coming home from summer camp. Like that to me, more than the 4 assholes, the 4 like the Libertines, more than those 4 motherfuckers. I'm like, okay, maybe they will get theirs eventually. But it's the young men, the young soldier guys who participate in this shit that I felt like were just as bad, if not worse, than the older men. And they are going to go home and live their lives like this shit never even happened. Like, like it was so. It's not even something that's on their fucking radar that would bother them.
You know what's weird is that those 3 that were out in the yard that were doing that dance kind of reminded me. I don't know if you remember when Jay Leno was actually making fun of the O.J. Simpson trial where he had the dancing Edos. For some reason, it popped to my mind at that moment that those men were dancing exactly the same way as the dancing Edos were.
Well, that was a circus in itself.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, any other comments before we go into production? Alrighty then.
No, please move on.
So what did we think about the production value of the film?
This was an amazing restoration of the film. I mean, I never seen any previous versions, but it looked spectacular, clear. The colors were vibrant. They knew how to do the artwork placement in some areas. And then, of course, in the other areas where they would keep some of the others, they made it purposely plain and drab. It was, to me, very high level production value, and the fact that they made it to the point where it was so disturbing says something about the production in and of itself. Yes, it is disgusting, but the fact that we were so disgusted by it says something to the ability of what they did. Not saying it's what's the word? The great things, terrible things, but great just the same.
I have to agree with you, at least on the as far as production. It was shot well for what it was.
I love the castle.
Whoever did the camera work definitely knew enough how to visually shock us to the extent where many of us never want to see this film again.
Definitely not.
But I mean, the fact that it survives to this day, I guess, is something. But that being said, Kroll, did you want to say anything on the production?
I agree with you guys that everything looks completely realistic, and it definitely gave that completely disgusted feel. I mean, like I said, it's the worst movie I've ever seen. But I guess that's due to the production of it, that they set out to do exactly what they did. So as far as production goes, the only good thing I can say about the movie is the production was spot on. It was great, and like you said, great, evil great though. Not a good great, but yeah. So and I know we'll probably talk about music as well. The music didn't really. I don't think the music fit the movie, because I thought the music was kind of nice, especially the first song. I'm like, this is kind of like a soothing, nice song. And it just didn't, like what I saw on the screen, and the music did not match at all.
Believe it or not, there was a piece of the music that I did actually recognize. It was at the end during the whole yard scene when it went into the it played something from Carmina Burana, which is an Italian opera. That I know that I like the music from, because there's something about like the singing of monks and stuff that kind of, I believe the most famous one that often gets played from that opera is O Fortuna. But
I agree with you. I mean, that's, it's weird about something like this, and psychologically, like Stephen King has ruined a number of songs in a way, like We've Only Just Begun, or Evil Within. That game had kind of taken my association for music. The good thing in this is that this film did have some good music, and because I dissociated so much with the film, I'm not associating the music with it.
I don't even notice the music. I mean, I'm too distracted by what I'm seeing on screen to even notice the music. I couldn't tell you what pieces they were playing. I couldn't tell you what was.
It was good music.
I don't want to associate that with anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Else. I don't even want to know who the composers are. Nothing.
Nothing.
I told you. Okay, so here's a funny story, Dave. So like one of my coworkers, she actually is Italian. Like she's from Venice. And after we finished watching, Brandon goes, I'm feeling kind of hard against the Italians right now. I'm not really sure. I'm not really fucking happy with them. And I said, yo, when I see Antonella tomorrow, she better count her fucking days. I was like, it's on sight. You sick bastards. All Italians is catching the fade right now. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Tammy said something before to me earlier, I guess, in the day, that she actually enjoyed. She would rather watch The Human Centipede than watch this.
I still agree. Watch Human Centipede, actually.
Yeah, neither and I'm telling you, I'm not watching Serbian film. I read the long form synopsis.
Oh no,
I can't.
Though there will be the opportunity for it to be voted in August.
Not my birthday month.
And depending on whether Dane decides to use this month or not, we could have another month where we have voting in of recurrent stuff. But I don't think that any of those are going to be voted in again.
I don't see Dane's ass here tonight.
Well, he didn't want to talk about it again.
He said it would be an identical conversation, but I've heard the identical conversation. This is very different.
I vote for Star Wars again.
Well, I think this is about where we are at our favorite scene or scenes, or if we had a favorite character. Why don't we start with you, Brandon, and then Kim, and then go from left to right, my left to my right.
So there are no good characters in this, though I did find the character that looked like a combination between Stan Laurel and Teller from Penn and Teller amusing. I mean, shoot, I posted that comparison. I actually admit that picture of Teller and that guy side by side, they do look alike. So that I find amusing. The character I did not like, though. I did like the scene. There's only one scene I liked in this entire film, and that was that scene where they did the snitching conga line, which is one after the other. Oh my God.
Okay. What about you, Kim? If you could pick a favorite scene or favorite character from the film, what would it be?
I mean, I wouldn't say a favorite scene necessarily, but like, yeah, the snitching chain, that kind of like
Least offensive scene.
Yeah, the least offensive scene. You know, like that was probably like the funniest or the only entertaining part of the whole movie. But at the same time, when you think about what it's steeped in and the reason why they're all snitching on each other, like, well, fuck. My favorite character. Probably what's her name? The one who was always crying for her mom.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
I felt so bad for her. I was like, she seems so sweet, this poor child. Like, I was just like, girl, I'm your mama now. Like, come live with us. We'll take care of you. We got 4 cats. You can have your own bedroom.
That child's gonna have too much baggage if she survived this stuff.
You are a therapist. You can help her. So it's like,
If you get
No offense to Brandon, but I don't think he's good enough to help her.
I'm not trained to get through that type of trauma.
I don't know. You got a beard, so you kind of look like one of her. You actually kind of motherfucker. Get out of my house. You do kind of look like a motherfucker.
He has a thicker beard than
I don't care. You look like him.
Is that her way of calling you a bum?
That guy was not a bum. He was very well dressed. He was a.
He was a sharp dresser, but he was.
They were all somewhat well dressed, I guess, for their time period. They were.
Well, they're high stationed, so yeah.
Well, they're obviously wealthy.
Yeah.
You
How
can't
about you, Tammy? Was there a favorite scene and or favorite character at all redeeming in this?
Yeah,
movie?
the ending credits. That's my favorite character too.
Okay.
They do have character.
Okay. What about you, Kroll? If there was a favorite,
I would say that as far as characters go, yeah, none of them. I mean, the girl, I think I probably felt the worst for her because I don't know, she seemed like the sweetest, like Kim said. And most of the victims, there was a couple of them. I don't know. They seemed to have enjoyed it. I don't know. They were just as sick as the others, as the torturers. So probably that girl, I guess, only just felt really bad for her the most. And maybe that boy, the one that had to get married to the fucking creepy guy and kiss him with shit in his mouth, and I don't know, just horrible. And I seen the snitching actually made me disgusted that they had to snitch on each other. I know why they did, but just made me disgusted that they couldn't even. They had to turn on each other, and so the only thing that besides the end, like Candace said, was when that woman jumped out the window because I think they all should have died. I think they should have died horribly, but well, at least there was something because they were doing horrible things, and there needed to had some kind of retribution to what they did. So at least one of them got something, So that has to be my favorite scene because, they deserved it, and at least one of them got it.
Actually, Kroll, I was thinking to myself, you watch this on a streaming site with ads, so you
No,
see, you
There was
could
no
have.
ads.
Oh, I thought that the streaming site had ads on it.
No, solo movies don't have ads. They have they have a ton of ads before you start the movie that you have to keep clicking out of before you finally get into the movie. It takes like 40, 50 clicks away, but then you watch the whole movie.
See, you could have picked one of the ads as your favorite scene.
But again, I didn't watch any of the ads beforehand because I just click out of them, you know.
Little did you know they would have been the highlight.
Yeah. I actually watched the first half an hour of it twice. Because the first time I didn't realize that they had it in closed caption, so I could actually, read it. So I was just watching it in Italian. And then I was like, wow, this is a little more wordy than I expected. I expected it to be like a visual nightmare, which it was, but it was also a lot more wordier than I expected. So I watched that half an hour and then realized it was a closed caption, so I went back and rewatched. The first half an hour is bad, but it's nowhere near as bad as most of the movie. So,
well, if you wanted to watch it again for some
No.
reason,
no,
there
No.
is an English
No.
dub track
No.
that they came up with,
No.
so you could actually
No.
watch it.
you don't even need to finish that sentence, dude. No, hell, fucking no. Ain't nothing. Like I said, I'd rather have my dick slammed in the door.
Very
My
cool.
metal door.
That's it.
And I guess I might be the odd one out, but I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm a little deranged, but just the fact that these old biddies were telling their tales, and I guess the first one I got more of a kick out of because she obviously enjoyed every single encounter she had. She's telling it in satiated detail with good humor, like it's just a bedtime story. I mean, the second lady, I may not have liked her tales, and I didn't like the fact that she had actually killed her mother. That did not make her like any high favor in my book. But the other lady, at least, I don't know, had some humor to her. And
the other lady was brought into it by her sister, not her mother.
She was just sadistic.
No, I'm saying the one that you liked was brought into it by her sister, not her mother.
Yeah, and I guess that makes her a little bit more favorable, and I guess she would be my favorite character, even though I know that her character is twisted and demented and whatnot. I did feel for the people that were in here. I mean, I wonder what these actors had to go through. I feel like a lot of it looked real. And you almost wonder if some of it was in fact, even though it was a showing of reality, I wonder how the actors were treated at this point in time. And wonder what was going through their mind and actually like playing on this. But
So you want to behind the scenes?
I can tell you that the fecal stuff that they used was a mixture of chocolate and orange marmalade.
Okay.
Man, fuck you. I will not go look at Paddington the same way again.
It did look like shit the first time around. I will give you that.
Quitting.
It did look like feces to me.
But at least we know it wasn't real.
Yeah, it looked enough to like feces to me that I was gagging, and couldn't watch it. So yeah, I agree. Definitely looked like fucking feces.
Well, I knew it wasn't actually shit.
I mean, yeah, I do too, but it's just I don't know.
Still,
Just the thought of
That didn't mean it wasn't disgusting, and you didn't.
I mean,
actually
yeah,
think in
it
your
was
mind
still
that
it
might
still had me gagging at the idea of them
exactly.
being forced to eat shit.
Right, that's
Just-
why I was gagging, because it was just the idea, you know.
Just like American Wedding, like that scene was like horrible, even though it's a fucking hilarious movie.
When he was getting pissed on, or
Huh?
which scene in American Wedding?
When he eats the fucking eclair that's supposed to be shit, like the dog ate the ring and he's trying to get the ring back, and he has a shit in like a eclair thing, and the woman like wants some of it, and he's like no, and then he stuffs the whole thing in his mouth so she doesn't eat it, but it's shit.
Oh
and then,
god!
and then he's like talking, and the shit's like stuck to his teeth. I mean, obviously it's not shit, but it was just like I can't watch that scene either. But this is like way worse.
Just slightly.
I remember it was at the first American Pie movie where the dude met it into beer and stuff.
The beer that had come in it.
I gagged.
Oh, I gagged that too. And then he got peed on in the second movie. And he was drinking the pee. He thought it was the wine. And then he realized it was pee.
He got pissed on.
I got pissed on. That was the best line in the movie.
Like I said, there are so many levels of depravity to this film, but hey, we survived it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
God. I just barely survived it.
Well, Dave,
If anything, this film will desensitize y'all for anything in the future.
No, it won't. No.
I think it might.
I'm not gonna lie, Dave. This one definitely makes Bunny the Killer Thing look wholesome, almost.
Yeah, it does. And I liked Bunny the Killer Thing, but yeah.
But yeah.
Where Kroll is actually more willing to watch Mirai again.
That's
I'd be willing to watch.
That's even more disturbing.
You'd be willing to watch Bunny the Killer Thing again?
Before I'd watch this.
Wow.
Like I said, I'd watch them right back to back.
But that's
Again,
not an
before I watch-
invitation.
Okay.
Not an invitation.
My Blu-ray player doesn't. My Blu-ray player already rejected the Buddy.
Careful what you ask for. You might just get it.
That's like if there were only 2 movies left on Earth, and it's Bunny the Killer Thing and Salò.
I listen to music.
I think my Blu-ray player just broke.
Well, I might watch
ladies.
That rises to the level of divorce.
On that note, ladies and
I
gentlemen,
just run around going boozy.
I guess it's at your own discretion if you want to.
Do not watch it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
For your own mental health, don't do it.
Don't do what I did and do it out of curiosity. It ain't worth it.
We all know what Curiosity did.
Yeah, like I said, if I was a cat, I'd be fucking dead.
And there was no satisfaction to bring him back.
Why don't we
There
tell
was no satisfaction.
why don't we tell the good public who we are and what we do? So why don't we start with you, Crow? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I would say I can't work. I watch TV. I watch movies. Usually I watch very enjoyable movies. And I come on this podcast and talk about movies. This time we didn't get an enjoyable movie. This time we got the most disgusting, horrible, worst movie ever. But, I'm sure next week will be better. Even if they're not the greatest films, they'll seem like Star Wars compared to this. And anyone knows me, Star Wars is the best ever. So, yeah, and I also like reading and playing video games and coming on another channel on Sunday to talk about movies. We're doing Brightburn this Sunday. which is basically Evil Superman. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's great. You should check it out. Check out the podcast. That's about it. Next.
All right. Let's go over to Tammy, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I'm David's fiance. I go on this podcast and another one with him, and other people, and I enjoy both of them and talking about movies, except for this one. And it's a lot of fun. Usually to hear about the movies, but I have my own collection, and I'm looking forward to the nice weather to take out my 1972 Grand Prix.
Well,
All right.
definitely warm weather.
So getting your Grand Prix and drive away with is no fucking Sailor movie ever. Run away.
How about you, Kim? I know you haven't been on for a while, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I am Brandon / Septum's wife. I have a YouTube channel called Kim Creates Stuff, and I on there I do journaling videos like bullet journaling and art journaling. And I started recently uploading videos about my movie journaling, where I do a cute little spread about whatever movie I've watched, and I also review the movie during the planning process of the journaling. I have recently gotten into doing TikToks, but TikToks are kind of different from my YouTube channel because they're all about bougie black girl and luxury black girl stuff and commentary stuff. So that's different. And interestingly, on my TikTok is much more popular than my YouTube channel. Go fucking figure. By trade, by day, I'm a librarian.
So are you gonna do a Salò page for that movie?
You want me to punch you in your dick, don't you?
You might as well light it on fire, you know.
At this point, I'm about to. I am not going to know. Hell no.
Not even going to acknowledge watching it.
No, I want to forget I ever saw that shit.
I'm with you on that, Kim. I want to forget I saw it too.
I need Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind this shit right now. Like,
I want to forget I ever heard of it.
I guess, Brandon, we're in the doghouse because we both duped our females into watching it.
Well, I'll think about the movie we saw today because we went and saw the new Jurassic. So I'll think about that.
He owes me dinner this week.
Alrighty. How about you, Brandon? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I'm SeptumSin, a SeptumSin versus the world. We are a channel that loves physical media and a collection of physical media, review of physical media, whiny cats apparently, and just all sorts of media things in general. Currently, we've been kind of slower on the channel because I've been we've been on a couple of things. Jake there's a cat yelling.
Foo, stop it.
I swear. He wants, by the way, that's Foo the cat. He wanted to make sure that I acknowledged him as well.
He's making my cat sit here and look at me like, where's that coming from?
So there are a couple projects that we are working on right now. I've got a review that I have filmed. I just have to edit fully on Phil Herman's Horror Tales 666, which is an entertaining anthology film. And hopefully y'all will like that when it comes out for my next film cycle analysis. And we have some big projects that are keeping the channel kind of in just pickup mode. One of which is the Versus Awards, which is the major one that Jake, I'm sure, would have been talking about. We are in the nominations process right now up until the end of June. What you do is I've got all but 3 of the categories listed, and those 3 are going up tonight. And just put your top 6 with the highest rated at the top, lowest rated at the bottom, and for each of the categories that you can fill out. and we will then take those into account at the end of the month, where Jake will do the nominations. You can find us at the Versus vs.awards on Facebook. Anybody can join. So please join us so that we can have some varied movies. Nominations end on June 30th. But finally, I am working on production of a film, a fairly old horror film called The Shackled Demon Project, which should hopefully get a release by mid-July to late August. And I am in the middle of, well, not in the middle, I'm at the very beginning of production. I have managed to get everything together. I just got to get the final approval. And then I'm going to be producing the Blu-rays. It's going to be a very limited run. When it does release, it's going to go fast. There's only 30 that are going to be made in the initial run anyway. So once they come up, you better grab them.
Okay. And my name is David Strege. I'm one of the founding fathers of Inside Movies Galore. So thank you for coming along with us on this magical journey. Unfortunately, we had to celebrate it on this film, but that being said, we've gotten through it. Yay. And hopefully never again. But we're going to have a blast because I get to tell you my birthday picks for next week.
Even more disturbing movies than the one before now.
Oh yeah, which is Windwalker from 1980. Which is funny. It was originally on the feature films for family films on VHS back in the day, and then I guess it's on something entirely different in DVD form, and of course a UK film called Attack of the Killer Donuts, which is directed by Scott Wheeler, which is a fun, campy, almost trauma-esque film that I think we'll have a blast with after almost going into depression and shooting ourselves this time around. But that being said, I will say that I do have another channel that I call Delusions of Grandeur, where we also go on and discuss various films of different nature and whatnot. And I also go on and do my own video analysis reviews and my own video pickups from time to time. So check out the channel and like, share, and subscribe, and hopefully you'll be back with us on Delusions of Grandeur this Sunday, and because we'll be doing Brightburn, which is a choice by Boris, and then again next week, same time, the same channel. So let us know down in the comments what you thought of the film, if you have seen it. If you have not, that's okay too. But say good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Don't watch this movie.